Welcome back to the Intentional Fatherhood Podcast. We're here, Justin.
We are here.
We're here. And where's here?
Where are we? San Diego?
We've been in California so much the last couple of weeks.
This is my third trip to California in 3 months. And man, I'm honestly starting to love it.
Yeah, dude.
I'm starting to love it. It's too much time away from the family and the jet lag's a problem, but I like California.
Dude, well, I like it too. Well, San Diego is a hard place to be angry at. So yeah, if you're like watching this, obviously it looks like a different setting. We had an event we're at together. I'm so glad to connect. And we're here. We're like, we gotta talk about what happened at the Fatherhood Retreat. And man, the amount of feedback and the amount of encouragement and the amount of just people, whether that's not really texting, primarily email and social media, telling us about what's going on in their lives and how the Spirit's blessing them through some of these conversations and the conversations that these conversations are fueling has been so encouraging. And so we're going to talk about that. This is kind of a bonus episode. We're going to actually respond to some of the questions that were submitted at the retreat that were really great that we just never got to. We didn't have enough time. But I'm going to say it just like I always do. Please rate, subscribe, leave a comment. It always helps us.
It helps so much. I actually was thinking about this the other day because when people leave comments or ask questions on specific parts, we understand what they're interested in. And it's like, oh, we'll talk more about that.
Yes.
Or when you're like, oh, I like this episode, and we can see the ratings, see how the listens, and then we're like, oh, people want more of that. So it actually gives us great feedback to help you get better content.
Dude. Yes. And we have just maybe a couple things to say before we talk about reflection. We know that we haven't dropped a season for a little bit. That's in the works right now.
It is in the works.
It's in the works.
Season 3.
We're really excited about that. And there's more to come about all of intentional fatherhood, which is actually some of the stuff we're going to talk about today. But I think where it would maybe be a good launching point, I know we chatted about this before a little, is to just reflect on what happened at the Fatherhood Retreat.
Yeah, some of y'all listening don't know.
Yeah.
We just had the first intentional fatherhood retreat in California. So just 2 weeks ago, right? Was it 1 week ago?
It was actually 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Yeah. We were in California together, Brooke and I.
Costa Mesa.
Hosting the first intentional fatherhood retreat. And it blew me away.
Yeah,
I'm not hyping it for the podcast. It blew me. It was probably the most significant conference that I've been to in the last 2 decades. Christian conferences were a big part of my life in college.
That's a big deal.
I haven't said that to you yet.
You haven't said that to me, but also it's funny because...
And it's weird, like our conference.
My own conference. Is this ego?
Is this egomaniacal? It's like, my conference is so significant.
Today we're going to actually talk about ego.
It's actually... But no, honestly, the Lord did something that weekend that I did not expect in my life and in the lives of, I think, a lot of those guys who came. But I'm honestly just still reeling from how significant it was.
I want to ask you a few more questions about that. I will just in note agree. Had not no expectation, but I think you set a really good table. You want to do your best to put your best foot forward when you put on an event for people that spend time and energy and sacrifice of time away from family and money to get there. And you want to set a good table. But dude, that table doesn't really matter if the Spirit doesn't show up and do work.
Yeah.
And so that, to me, to agree with you in full, the part that was so beautiful was what happened in that room in regards to transformation in the men's lives.
Yes.
And so I think that, and to be clear, no amount of content that Justin and I could come up with, we're just not that smart, was that factor.
No, it was the Spirit of God was there.
In a way, in a way. So I want to ask you, you said one of the most significant moments. Give me just a little more. Why was that so significant for you?
Yeah, let me tell you. Because you don't know, we haven't debriefed fully.
I know, this is actually, I love this.
Y'all are going to listen to us live debrief.
We have a lot going on outside of this little venture we're on.
When you said, we should do a conference, I was like, that sounds great. That's fun. I speak at conferences all the time. I like preparing content. I feel like God has called me to do speaking and writing, and most of it's behind my computer writing, but I do like going to speak places. So I just imagined us sort of going to a church and speaking like I usually speak, just maybe there'll be a couple hundred guys there. I did not expect the quality of production. I mean, you guys just at Intentional do an incredible job of Thanks, the venue was beautiful, there was amazing merch. It just looked like aesthetics. This could go shallow, but I want to say in a deep way. It's it was honoring of the way I think God intended us to interact. We're like, this is beautiful. This is intentional, a la the name. This is curated.
Yeah.
It felt like a place that was like wonderfully prepared for what would happen there. So I was just impressed when I got there. I was like, I came to speak, but like you guys set up an incredible conference. But that wasn't that was just like, oh wow, yeah, Brooke and his team are really good at their job. That's like, I do a lot of conferences and this was like just a really quality, right? But here's the big thing. And it was actually the first thing I said on stage, you'll probably remember.
Yeah.
When we walked out to go on stage night one, I didn't really appreciate from like seeing the conference tickets what it would feel like to have. I knew we had, some like 600 plus dads signed up, but like walking out into like a room just like packed out of dads, I did not expect the feeling I had. Like I immediately looked at them and I did not see them. I saw all these children and all these wives and all these, like, honestly, generations. It wasn't quite I don't know if I'd put it like a vision category, but it felt close to that, where it's like I saw something that no one else maybe was seeing. I felt like the Lord like just was like helping me see through the blinds, so to speak, and see beyond what was happening. And I walked out and I was like, oh, these are 600 dads who, if the Spirit works over the next 2 days, generations are going to be changed through them. Yes. And then within 2 hours, I started to see it coming true. I mean, by the end of that night one, and we went hard the first night.
Yeah,
it was the theme of the conference was out of hiding and into holiness. We talked a lot about that first night about our darkness, the vices, the things we hide, the ways
live
we need
confession
to come.
on stage.
A lot of confession.
No, I mean, one of my favorite parts was when you and I,
when I asked you to confess and you cried. Is that because everybody was like, that was my favorite moment of the night. Brooke crying on stage and saying, I want to be a better husband. Honestly, it was amazing. Do you remember that? Obviously, you do.
I remember that.
Did you forget that?
No, I didn't. My wife reminded me the other day. No, I'm just kidding. Do you remember when you said no? She didn't. No, I think what was one of my favorite parts, and one of the things I actually value as a person, but I love that you value this because it would not work if you didn't. But it's hard to ask men, especially, to go somewhere that you yourself are not going.
Yeah,
I think it's leadership. It's not. I know it's leadership in general. That's life in general. So it was really hard for us to talk about confession, but then you and I not actually do this. And so one of the really stupid thoughts we had was, why don't we confess to each other live on stage?
To be clear, this was your thought. I was like, okay. We're asking everybody to do confession. I was like, we should go first. I'm like, this is gonna be awkward.
Yeah, but I also said we can't tell each other before because I wanted to be sincere. I don't want to know what your confession is, and I wanted to kind of be like, you guys can listen in, but this is going to be a sincere moment. But my wife was also in the room, so that was hard too, because it was like, I'm confessing this thing and my wife's in the room. And so, but
your kids were there too, right?
2 of my kids were there, 2 of my 4. Yeah. And man, and I mean, to be fair, my kids know my stuff and we talk openly about our weaknesses. So they weren't surprised. Like, yeah, we know. Like, this was not new for them. Nonetheless, I do think that those moments were just exponentially powerful, and out of hiding into holiness that first night, by the end of it, like you're saying, there was just some windows and hearts cracked open that I didn't expect.
By the end of that night one, I was like, the Spirit of God is moving in this room in a way that I just honestly have not experienced, even in the past, 5-6 years of writing and doing lots of conferences. It sounds like a weird brag, but it's not. It's part of my job. I go to a lot of conferences. I speak at a lot of places. This was categorically unique. Watching so many of those men by the end of night one, and we didn't even plan this at all, but like people organically walking to the front,
to just
kneeling at the stage, crying with each other, praying for each other. Yes. I remember I looked at you. I was like, I guess we should go out and pray for them.
Absolutely,
I was like, we didn't plan on this, I was just. And here's the thing, then we did, a day and a half more. We did all day Friday and then Saturday morning, and it just didn't stop. The amount of men having experience with the Lord, creating a new covenant friendship, crying and confessing, just getting new ideas and being like, I feel so much more empowered. I honestly left the conference, Brooke, thinking, this is what I want to do over the next season. Like, I want to do more of these because if the Spirit's moving here, I want to go here.
Yes.
And so like,
Yeah.
we need to do another one soon. So, where do y'all want us to do it? Tell us. Drop. I mean, we just told you about dropping comments. Tell us, because we actually want to do a lot of this, right? Don't we? Am I putting you on the spot?
No, you're not. No, hello@intentionalfatherhood.org is where you can email that specifically, or you can do it through social media. But no, we absolutely do. And I think what is really interesting about this, excuse me, is I love that phrase. I can't remember who said it, and the moment I say it, you'll know. But it's basically find where God's working and join Him in the work He's doing, essentially.
Yes.
And
yes.
what this feels like is a moment for this very last minute idea of doing a fatherhood thing together from the nudge of the Spirit that God's obviously way more invested in, I think, than even we knew He was, or we were, or are, but we're becoming aware. And I think what we feel now is stewardship. Like, as we've talked, and is a stewardship. Like, whatever has happened is not because we figured it out. It's just, that's Jesus and how it works. So I think to answer your question, yes, we want to follow it through obedience where the Spirit's moving. And it was undeniable from anybody that was there, experienced it, even the debrief with our team when we got back. I mean, it was substantial, and it was really substantial.
I just a note on that, because this is again a little weird, but a couple guys came up and were like, "This is the next Promise Keepers. This is the next Focus on the Family." And I'm like, "Okay, that's
chill out, guys."
Maybe chill out a little bit, but also like, wow, like I'm honored. It does. I actually asked myself, I was like, where are the spaces where men would come together, get called to repentance, get prepped to go back equipped? Because actually I came back and told my friends, Steve and Matt, hey guys, you're probably listening. Hi guys. I was like, guys, we need to sit down and talk. I just had one of the most unique spiritual experiences I've had in years.
Wow.
And you guys weren't there for it,
which is
I feel
weird.
A little weird. Like I was having such a, like, I don't know, like mountain of transfiguration, like high, like, thin realm, thin places, spiritual experience. And none of my friends and family were there. So like you, I was so jealous, honestly. Your wife and two of your kids were there.
My soul friend was there.
One of your covenant friends was there. So anyway, I came back and I was like, Stephen, Matt, we got to sit down and talk.
We got to do this.
I was like, you need to know about this and what's happening. Yeah. Because I felt like it was one of those breakthrough calling moments. And we need to, all right, another idea. I'm a little ADHD today.
You're fine.
We need to do a season soon on just work and vocation.
Yeah.
Like calling, like how to grind, how to push, how to find your, because one of the things I felt was like, one of the guys gave me this metaphor. He was like, sometimes like work feels like you're just pushing a boulder up a hill. It's just grind for so long. But when the Spirit of God moves in your work, it's like you finally hit the top of the hill. Yeah. And you don't know it yet. Yeah. But suddenly it's like, oh, the boulder's like lighter. And then suddenly it's like, wait, the boulder's moving without me. And then it's like, oh, I have to sprint to catch up with this boulder.
That's a good,
That's what I felt like at the conference. I was like, I work at writing and speaking all the time. And it's a grind. And I do feel like I'm moving forward. But at the conference, I was like, this is getting away from me. This is getting beyond me. Yep. And I felt like a moment where the Spirit was saying like, yeah, because I'm here now. Yeah. So keep doing it, but you're gonna have to chase the boulder now. and then so when people were like, this is the next, Focus on the Family conferences or Promise Keepers conferences, I was like, yeah, that's a little bit too high of a.
It's pretty grand to say.
It's grandiose, but it felt dignifying because I was like, this is beyond us. Yes. And whatever we saw that weekend, like we've just got to do more of them because we need to chase the boulder. If the Lord's moving, we got to chase the boulder.
Couldn't agree more. The other thing that maybe to say it in the same way about, the grandiose phrase, each in the time belt that we all exist, there are different movements and iterations. So let me just be hyper clear. Justin and I are not being like, we are self-proclaimed doing this new thing. What we're saying is there's a significant piece to this that is not our own doing, and we will not claim that it is ours. And please call us out if we ever do. The point being that I think what that phrase indicates is it was special just because those things that happened, the two that you mentioned, Promise Keepers, Focus on the Family, they're special.
Yeah. Like the Lord was moving in those things. It changed so many people.
Still are changing. I don't know where Promise Keepers is at, but like as far as the other one. Yeah. and the point really isn't where, how we could see ourselves in it. It's basically to just kind of to scale back and say it was significant and it mattered. And the conversations that we had post were just, and still ongoing, have just been staggering. Transformation is the only word that makes sense and that is used in almost every single, next phrase. So it was significant.
It was
significant.
So tons of people the whole time. One of my favorite parts was they would come up and like, say more about this, that. Like we got so many good questions.
Oh yeah.
But so one of the things I love that we did was, out of hiding and into holiness. It was big time, like deep confession. Let's go deep that first night. The second day, we talked about physical disciplines. We talked about
vocation,
vocation, marriage, family.
Yep.
Leaving legacies, intentional parenting, just all the things. And people would come up with so many different topics and ask questions. So we got a bunch of questions.
Oh, we did.
That we did not answer, which we need to do now.
We're gonna do that. And one more thing, just to close the loop on this, I think maybe just to say, as far as the conference goes, let us know. When I say let us know, I mean like we put something out on social media. We'll have a link in the show notes here. But basically, if you're a church that is interested in hosting one of these events, will you let us know? Click the link in the show notes. It's basically like where are you guys at? What's your venue capacity? Is this something you can partner with us by helping us, by not charging us an obscene amount of money to do these and or nothing? Because truth be told, Intentional is a nonprofit and we are doing this in different spaces. And I want to say one more thing to all the fathers listening and to some of our sweet mothers who are listening here, and ladies, you're always welcome to listen, is we have an Intentional Motherhood Retreat. And so just like Intentional had our Fatherhood Retreat, my wife and her mom and a host of wonderful folks and wonderful, amazing female communicators do this for moms. And so if you're listening here as a husband, you're like, I want my wife to experience that. April 23rd through the 24th in Franklin, Tennessee is the next one. You can grab tickets for that.
If you haven't gone to these before, you're going to be like me, like, oh, whoa. Brooke and his team put on incredible conferences. You're going to love it. You're going to love it.
Well, no, it's a gift. Our team is amazing. I think one of my favorite things was getting to see you meet the whole team. And
I was like a kid in a candy store. Like, wow, look at this. Did you make this?
My favorite thing
you made t-shirts. I didn't know we had t-shirts.
And by the way, merch, we're figuring out we have some back end
stuff. The merch is so good. The merch was so
good.
Yeah.
First run. We'll get more. But I was going to say the thing that I remember when you came on stage, my favorite thing you said, I laughed so hard because I didn't know what to do with it. But you're like, I didn't realize how good at your job you were. I was like, that is the most underhanded compliment I think I've ever seen.
I think I said to you this morning, the most backhanded compliment. I was like, man, I've always liked you, but now I respect you. You're like good at your job.
Like, I wasn't trying to impress you. B, I wasn't doing anything but just doing what I was called to do.
But anyway, okay, let's wrap this up because I want to pitch in here.
Yeah.
It was so significant. It was so good. The boulder felt like, oh my gosh, it's rolling down the hill. We want to do more of these.
Yeah.
And we want to do them in different places. This was very West Coast. And I had so many people, like my friends, because I'm East Coast, be like, oh, that was just too far to travel, hard to travel. Like, when are you going to do East Coast? And I had so many people be like, well, when are you going to do Southeast? When are you going to do New York? When are you going to do Texas? When are you going to do Midwest? And if y'all give us a place, we'll come do it.
Yeah. Well, and we have to make sure it's the right place, the right time.
But so tell Brooke and his team to bring the place. But I want to do one. I love going to see the people in Texas. I love Texas.
Yes.
This Virginian loves my wife is Texan.
Yes.
My sons, don't tell anybody, they're Dallas Cowboys fans.
We'll keep it here.
I really want to go do it in Texas.
Yep.
I also really want to do Southeast, probably New York, DC.
Yep. Those are all places that we want to strategically go. So if you are a decision maker, key decision maker, or know a key decision maker at these different spots, these churches, we would love to just let us know. We would love to talk to you about it. So there's that. Let's talk about questions. Okay, so dudes listening in, and moms, I'm just going to say this right now. This is absolutely for you to listen to. But if you are listening to this and there's kids around, you might just want to be aware that these topics are going to get
We had a lot of questions about sex.
In specifically masturbation. So it just was, I was so glad.
You didn't give the moms time to censor there. If they were listening with their kids, you just went,
dude, if they didn't, hey, I said it. I mean, you can't.
You just like 5-second warning. Like turn it down now.
We'll just have like, what's the music for when the Jeopardy music? Like, hey, Miles, can we put that in where you just pause? It's like the whole song and then note that it's coming. But you guys.
So yeah, trigger warning. Some of these questions were mature. We will give
yes,
honest answers.
And to be fair, you know, a lot of these questions, what I was really grateful for, and this is all jokes aside, we did press the guys after the first day once we saw questions coming in that were they were good, but you could tell like that wasn't the only thing everyone was dealing with. And a lot of the times people have to feel permission to be safe enough to share their question. And the nice thing is these were all very, these are all, what's the right word? We don't know. They're anonymous. We don't know we don't know names connected to us. So that's good. So they started asking real questions.
Yeah.
And I mean, we also just special shout out Joey Odom. Oh, dude,
my guy, Joey.
He hosted the retreat. Oh my gosh. Like couldn't have been more legendary. So many things to know, but Joey, just as you're listening to this, I hope you better be listening to this. Thank you. Like what a gift Joey was.
He was amazing. Yeah. He has a future as a improv comic.
Oh, I think so.
I mean, he's a great speaker on technology. Bring him in if you need a speaker on technology.
I just pulled up the first question. Go ahead.
You have a first question?
No, but go ahead before we.
No. I was just going to say, I would kick it off with one of the questions that I got the most from people walking up to me.
Let's do it.
Because I don't think this was asked publicly, if I can't remember. Yeah, I just had so many guys come up to me and ask, how do you keep your vocation within its boundaries, particularly during the younger years of parenting? And I think it was because I talked a lot about law firm and Avoda Legal, which is the new law firm that I'm running. We like merged in a bunch of new partners. We're growing, and my life is getting more complicated, not less, on the legal front, which is great. But so many dads were like, so how do you, they were like, I love my job. I love it. And I'm like you, I'm prone to work too much and too hard. And so I got a lot of questions that put family almost against an intention with vocation. And so anyway, I wanted to say, if you feel like you love your job and you're prone to like be a workaholic, in a lot of senses, that's actually a good start because you love what the Lord has called you to do.
Yes.
And I actually really want to affirm it. I feel like lots of guys were like embarrassed or felt like guilty because they really love working. I'm like, oh, no. That's how God made you. Like I love lawyering. Like I love doing a transaction. I love solving a deal. I love papering an investment, like doing a negotiation. I love it. And I'm clearly made to love it. And so my advice to a lot of them was set up the guardrails that protect your life in Scripture. And these are all the things that we've talked about almost ad nauseum on this podcast. I mean, set up your devotional rhythm. Yeah. Usually it's Scripture before phone for me.
It's not nauseum. It's important.
No, you can't say too much. Like set up your family dinner rhythm. Set up a date night rhythm with your wife. Set up a health rhythm.
Yes.
So when you get into the place where, I've got a guardrail in the morning, I always spend time in Scripture. I got a guardrail in the evening, I always turn off my phone and be with my kids. I've got a guardrail in the week, I always have time with my wife. I've got a guardrail in my embodied life. I'm exercising. Within those guardrails, you can then drive really fast and hard.
Yes.
Because you're protected. And these kinds of spiritual disciplines, just the wisdom and the virtues that you get of reading the Bible, like, here's how the good life is laid out. You can then love work and work really hard and go and drive that car really fast because you're going to be protected. You're going to hit the guardrail. It's going to push you back. It's like bumper lanes, right? So I just want to encourage dads with that. Like you're made to love work. So work really hard, but do set up your guardrails.
Yeah. Great wisdom. And there's no such thing as a true work-life balance. Like that doesn't really exist. Meaning like that work and life are going to have their lanes and they're going to obey. Like that doesn't, you have to be constantly in a fluid sense, have the guardrails, but then also be open to the reality that seasons change deeply.
That's right.
The season of kids, you're going to do less with your work. And there's times where you just, sometimes naming that can just give you such relief because it doesn't mean you're not going to be excelling in your career. It just means that's what you need to give more of your life to right now. And it matters 10x more. It's just hard when you're trying to compete against these things. So I always just be careful to pit them against one another. Life is not against work. Work's not against life. It's it's important to honor both. And sometimes you'll do that really well. And a lot of the times it will be the stance that you get to hold. And men, that's one of the gifts God's given you in strength. Like when we talk about strength of a man, obviously there's a physicality to that. There's also a reality that you are given broader shoulders in some senses to hold things that not every other family member can hold. Right. Now that doesn't mean our sisters and our wives are not incredibly strong. You are strong in ways that we will never be, but that's our particular role to hold. Good. And just like a mom can hold roles that honestly as a father, I could never hold. And I see this dynamic. I mean, you do too, with our wives all the time, where she can just hold things that I am like, I don't have the capacity, the grace, the ability for that. And that's okay. Like, you don't have to compete. Let her run in her lane. You run in your lane.
And likewise, men are uniquely suited to
hold this weight and to be able to nuance it and to just sometimes, I mean, absorb. What a good thing. The word absorbing is such a good word.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. No, even you saying that, honestly, I really like you, Brooke. You just made me feel dignified. Like, honestly, you saying that made me feel dignified, because so often I come home from a day at the office where I'm like, even if I tried to communicate to my wife and kids what happened, they wouldn't understand the nuances of like corporate transactional law. Like, oh, I had a major win in this negotiation, or like, you won't believe this deal we got closed, or like, I had a really contentious talk with this client over their bill, or like this contract fell apart. Like, there's so much I want to share with them that I can't. And then, like, are we making payroll? Like, how's the law firm performing? Like, is this going to be okay? Is everybody going to get fed? There's all these burdens that I like shoulder. Yeah. And I could bring them into the house and just like stew on them and let them weigh on me. But I'm like, oh, I want to be understood when I come home. But mostly, I just have to serve. Yes. My wife wants to tell me all about her day. And guess what? I can understand those things because I exist in her realm. Yep. But she doesn't as much exist in my realm. And, I want that to happen more. So I don't want to stay here. But I'm just saying that's a big burden. Like, and men are actually uniquely suited, I think, to say, I just had a hell of a day. Yeah. And nobody really knows about it. But now I'm going to shoulder the burden at home. And that's strength. Like, that's strength. That's actually the gift of being a dad.
And that's what I think what you're saying. I couldn't agree more. That you're saying it's okay, and I agree. It's absolutely. You're not. Don't become a victim in your mindset with that. That's not bad.
Yes. Actually, don't take it that way. Right.
No, you're not saying that. I'm saying, like, I could see men being like. I think where you could get really tripped up in that is thinking, that's my job to absorb all the time, and I'm the one. No, it's actually your job to absorb. It's one of the things you're made to do. It's one of the strengths that you have. What a gift you give your family. Now, that doesn't mean your needs don't matter and you shouldn't share them and you shouldn't find times to communicate that. Right. But there's so many times when I'm like, I can't. We're not going to be talking about that, and it's my job to go like, do I actually need that, or do I just prefer that right now? And there's a lot of times where I have to go preferences. That I cannot idealize or always have my preferences. Right. But I can say, hey, here's my needs, but my needs are very different than my preferences. Like, a preference to have sex every day, that'd be great. My need is to maybe once or twice a week, right? Like,
well, I might have different need categories.
Let's just name it, I'm saying though, like, there's times like preference and need are different, and we have to identify, you don't need to tell your wife everything. But that would be your preference. You're like, I want you to be seen. There's like, I'm seeing. Now, that doesn't, you can create space for that. It's just certain seasons are harder. I know Elizabeth and I, one of the things we try to do in this last 3 months has been literal hell on earth. And I'll explain more later. But our goal is, like, at the end of the day, or when I come home, to have 10 or 15 minutes, ideally, to just like catch up on the day. Like, where are we at? What's our 15-minute touch point to where, how are you? What's happening emotionally? What kid did this to who? Who is just gonna get who's in trouble, like all the things. What did I say accidentally through text that made you frustrated? Like, what are, like, give us all the goodies. Let's talk about it. So anyway, but I love that question. I couldn't agree more.
Give us some more.
Here's a couple of funny ones. Can we rebrand to the Daddy's Retreat?
No. No.
Yeah, well, I don't think they were really asking. Good thing. That's a real question. Wow. Wow. Ooh, here's what, this is good.
Okay.
This is the same person. They're funny, but they're also really serious. How do I confess if my wife does not feel like a safe place to land?
Huh. I need a lot more context on that.
Oh, of course, but we won't have it. But let's call this number.
Yeah, hey, let's bring them on live.
No, I mean, I'm going to just, let me nuance a little to help frame.
Yeah, maybe gives like a little background.
I'm thinking like let's just use an example. You are wanting to confess that you have been not as honest with your wife. Maybe it's around purity. A very easy one that I think a lot of men struggle with is if you've been lustful or looked at pornography or something like this, you are feeling the weight of that. You know, you want her to know, you want to talk about it, but you don't feel like she's going to be able to be a safe place to land, meaning she's not going to handle that well. She's going to go to shame.
Yeah, wait, this is my problem with that question. I don't know what safe place to land means. What do you think that means?
We're gonna have to probably just.
Is it that
I
like,
think it's a safe place, meaning that she. I mean, we're guessing here, so if we're wrong, but this is where we're gonna take it because we don't have more context. Is a person that can hold that with the appropriate amount of grace and forgiveness, but also accountability.
Yeah,
that they're not going to take that and throw it in your face in the future or use it to hurt you. Maybe in the sense of the information or shame. So we can go that angle. I just feel like
this is where this is probably tangential to the question, but I think it's worth nuancing. The word safe is
it's a tricky one.
It's a tricky one. People are using it in ways that it's like
I don't feel emotionally safe, and different people.
What do you mean? Yeah. Like but so
yes,
if. Given what you said, I think, and probably with this question, we're probably talking about sexual sin. I'm just going to guess.
Oh yeah.
My first and my primary answer, we talked about this a lot the first night of the conference, is you've got to find covenant friends who you can be very specifically honest to, and that are going to both give you grace and going to give you truth and call you forward, like that kind of. And when after you've done that, I think your friends are going to help you decide how, not whether, but how to bring it to your spouse.
Yep.
Because she likely needs less specificity, but she does need to know what's happening. And depending on what's happening, obviously, if this was like at a fair level, she needs to know a lot more. That's its a whole own category. But if this is just like lust and maybe pornography, and your friends or counselor will help you to bring it to her in a way.
Yeah.
That is healthy, but don't know what safe means, but like it's gonna hurt her. This is the problem. Your sin does hurt your spouse. Exactly. So don't expect a perfect response when you've been screwing everything up. Like you need get ready for her to be a little bit screwed up because you screwed up. Now there's so much grace, but it's a long road.
I was gonna say to agree with you. That question feels to me like you would love sin without consequence.
Yeah, it's like I've been screwing everything up, but I expect a perfect response.
But like her. But I own it. You own it. But the consequence of sin can look very different. And in that situation, it can look like you very much ruffled up a dynamic with your spouse that she has to feel, and it almost feels like you want sin without the consequence. And the truth is, your sin, you are now soul enmeshed. It's going to impact your spouse.
Yeah.
Your stupidity or blessing is going to both positively and negatively affect your spouse.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true. That's okay.
It's okay. Here's maybe a good blunt way to say it.
Yeah, say it.
You're not entitled to a safe space with your spouse.
Give me a high five. Can we get that on the microphone?
Pop. Yeah, I can't. You're not. Marriage is about two sinners being together and working through sanctification. It's not like, oh, I don't have a safe space, so I don't have to do this. No, you have to work it out with the broken sinner that is your spouse, and vice versa. I would nuance this a lot if I was talking to a woman.
I was going to say there's a level,
particularly if we're talking about emotional abuse or like physical safety. I was like, okay, actually.
Yes.
I'm
glad you nuanced that. I was going to say the same thing. I was like,
I'm talking specifically from it's your sin is going to hurt her, and you're not entitled to like a safe space when you confess this. What you need to do is work through it to a healthy space.
Yeah.
And that's going to be hard and messy and take a long time.
Messy. Dude.
All right. What's our next question? That was a vague but very interesting.
I mean, it's hard to. You got to just guess. Here's a financial question.
Oh.
I like financial questions. You're burning cash flow every month, keeping your business and family alive in a down season. How do you find peace?
Ooh, it's hard. That's really hard. When we talked about the unique ability of men to absorb a lot of hard work, but
Yeah.
still care for the family. I actually find this is the place where they are the weakest in doing that. And I know about it because when
what do you mean the weakest?
when you're worried about finances.
Oh yeah, because I have a couple thoughts on this, but I want to worried about finances. Meaning it's hard to absorb.
I think it's particularly hard for men to absorb financial stress when they feel it's up to them and they're burning cash. They're worried if they're going to make budget. Especially, this sounds like a small business owner,
Probably,
and I'm one.
Yeah.
I didn't think that I had like struggles with worrying about money or idols in that area until I started running my own business, and it was just a lot more pressure than I thought.
Dude, and we run a nonprofit.
Yeah,
our world exists upon people giving money to make it happen.
Yeah, you got it too. So
yeah,
my honest answer is actually very simple.
Yeah, respond. I'd love to. I have a thought. I want to hear what you're thinking.
Prayer and conversation with other people has really helped me not shoulder the burden alone. So one, I just realized I actually really do need to pray this out. And Psalm 23 has been so meaningful to me.
Yes.
In the context of like money. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Like the idea that I'm worried about caring for all these employees. I'm worried about caring for my family. But God is
He's the one doing
super concerned with caring about me and others. It's just really helped. And then being really honest with friends. You have to be obviously confidential with your business information to some extent, but to tell friends like, here's what I'm worried about. It helps take the burden off my shoulders. So like prayer, like if you're holding it in, you are probably going to implode. But if you're speaking it out in prayer and speaking it out to other friends, I've found the stress be much more bearable.
Yeah, manageable.
Now I want to know your thoughts.
Well, it's interesting because that's one angle. A lot of the times financial stress is, and no one likes to hear this, but this is the truth. It comes down to a lack of trust, and it's not usually about money. It's about safety.
Oh,
so
I think you're right, but
just to nuance it, well, because half the time, like anger is a secondary emotion. Well, like when we're angry, like, that's how you can be angry and not sin. Because there's times when you're angry and it's a beautiful, righteous anger. But anger is a secondary emotion, meaning there's something always under the surface of anger. So in the primary emotion world, this is truth. This is psychology. This is not, I didn't make that up. You can look this. You can check it out on the internet. Your face looks like, are you serious?
No, actually, I'm going to explain my face in a minute.
Okay.
But
look, face.
You keep talking.
Yeah. Okay. So I think a lot of the times when it comes to financial stuff, especially, it messes with our safety, which then may mess with our trust. And I have found in my life, anytime I am stressing about money, I am not trusting that God actually can and will take care of me like He's said He would. And this is how I would encourage you to think objectively, man asking this question: have you actually ever truly gone without? Now, have you not had your preferences? Has it not been ideal? Has it been stressful? I'm not talking about that. Have your kids missed a meal? Have you not been able to really take care of them? Wow. Or is it the fear that might not be able to be easily sustained for the future? And I would say when I've done that practice, I've quickly realized it is fear of the future, which is rooted in lack of trust, versus God providing now. Now, is it stressful as all get out? Yeah. Am I overwhelmed at every moment? Yes. And to Justin's point, you have to have an outlet to give that to God. Rolheiser said it. He was on the podcast. What a gentleman he was. Such a fun guy. One of my favorite quotes is, if you don't pray, you will become either habitually obsessed with your own ego or you'll be depressed. Those are the options. You'll be completely self-isolated and depressed, or you will be over top, arrogant. No one will want to be with you. Prayer is a psychological recentering of your soul and your body and your spirit. And if you don't do it, you're going to be a mess all the time. We all are when we don't do it.
Yeah.
And our boy, we're about to do a wonderful, I can't wait. Shane, our boy, broke out his rosary at dinner the other night. And he's just like going through the rosary. And I'm like, yes. Like this is what it is. He's dealing with his anxiety in real time.
This is such a, I don't know, a sneak trailer for the next podcast.
You're going to freaking lose your mind.
We're not going to say anything more.
I know.
You just have to wonder what that's about.
Yeah.
Wait, can I explain my face a minute ago?
I do. Yes, I'm done. That's what I want to hear.
That was actually extremely helpful because as you said that, I was sort of feeling a little convicted. I was like, oh, wait, you're right. I should probably think a little deeper on this question. When I wrestle with money, what is actually going on is I'm worried about who people will think that I am if I fail here. And I take a lot, Brooke. I need to admit this, because it's not all bad. I could frame it two ways. I take a lot of dignity in providing well for my family.
Yep. Yeah.
Like honestly, like my wife often will say, thank you. Like one of the most meaningful things that she says to me is she's like, thank you so much for working hard and providing for us. Like it makes I get a little teary.
Yeah.
Like it makes my day. Like I feel I feel like a king when she says that.
Well, it's part of one of the things you're made to do.
Yeah. No, and I do. Like I feel like the king of the world when my queen comes and says like, thank you for working hard for us. And I just take a lot of dignity from, running a business. And I realize the shadow side of that is that I take a lot of identity from that. Who would I be if I failed my family? Like, who would I be if my business fell apart? Who would I be if actually I can't do this after all? Like everybody thought I could do this, I can't. And actually, when you were just saying that, I was like, oh, this is actually a little bit darker. I'm not worried about not having food. I'm not worried about not paying my mortgage. I'm not worried about not covering the kids' school tuition. I'm worried about who am I if I can't make this work?
Yes.
Which is a question of pride. It's like, the shadow side of this is that I think I'm pretty great, and I'm worried if it cracked,
what would it be?
What would I be? So actually, I feel very convicted by that. You had the better answer here.
No, well, it's not a competition.
No, it's not. But your answer actually helped me. Yeah.
Wow. Well, thanks for saying that. I do think though, that's where peace comes from, when you know where your source of actual life comes from, when you recognize that you aren't actually, I mean, Justin, think about it. Think about the amount of control we actually have over our lives and situations. It's almost zero.
It's pretty comically.
Even our kids. Like I tell my kids now, and I don't know if this is great advice or bad, but I'm doing it. And I actually do think I'm leaning towards agreeing that it's great advice. Even telling my son, like, listen, I can't make you do anything. You're bigger than me now. Now I can friggin' kill you if I needed to. I'm not going to do that because you're my son. I don't
whip your.
Yeah, I'm not going to, because I don't like prison and I like you. Like these are things that I'm not going to do, but I can't make you obey.
Yeah.
But here's what I can do. I will tell you what life looks like in very vivid detail when you do, and what it looks like when you don't.
Yeah.
And you get to choose. And for all of us, you get to choose. Do you choose trust today that God's actually going to provide, even though you can't see your way through? You can choose that, or you can choose fear, anxiety, depression. I'm just telling you, one is good, one's not, and you know which one it is. So I think that's an important detail. Can I just share one tiny story on this note that changed all of this for me?
Yeah.
A moment in my life, it changed all of it for me, and it just kind of took this. It's still there, but the heavy part of it just felt like, oh, God held it in a different way than it was before. When we got into ministry really young, got married at 21 years old. Prefrontal cortex was not even developed when I was deciding to marry my wife, pick a vocation, have children. Isn't that bizarre?
Yeah, you picked a great wife.
Dude.
You did good. You had enough cortex to pick that well, or maybe that was just the
out of my league. But so my favorite part of one of my favorite parts of the retreat was that Elizabeth came and basically she came up to speak, and she gave the dudes
so good, dude.
They're so well, but she did four things your wives really need you to know.
Yeah,
and we've had so many guys like, can you release that conversation? We're like, we'll think about it, but.
No, you got to come to the next one.
Yeah. She got a standing ovation before she got on stage. All the dudes stand up and are just.
It was so good.
It was so sweet. But we were young and we were planting churches, and we were in the Portland area, and we were probably in the church planting space for about 7 years or so. And the churches we were a part of planting, they were growing. There's like 3 different campuses. And we just had this itch, like there's something else, there's something here. Like I'm 27, 28 years old. I'm like almost 30, have 2 kids. I'm like, I'm ready to run. And I've done this already. This is dumb. Like, just youthful ignorance, really. I'm on the team with this guy who's a friend. He's the lead pastor at that point. I'm the executive pastor, associate pastor. And I'm like, dude, I think it's time to like switch this up, but I didn't have a job or anything, but I was just kind of starting to talk with him. So he quickly is like, this guy's here, but he's not going to be here, right? He starts to realize like, this is not going to be great for long. I start talking to my buddy, Tim Chaddick, he was a pastor at a church called Reality LA at the time. And we start talking, and he's like, dude, I'd love to have you come down here. This would be a cool situation. And I was like, awesome. But they were not at a place to receive me yet. And it wasn't necessarily a job interview as much as it was just like kind of exploring, is this a thing? So I get like way over my skis in this whole thing. And I'm like, I think we're going to be moving. All this happens. And as the story goes, I literally tell my guy who I'm working with, like, I don't know when I'm going to be out, but I'm going to be kind of out soon. I get a call from Tim like, hey, this is great, but this is...
So you're leaving your job without having a job?
And he's like, hey, this is great, but this isn't happening for, 6 months to a year because we just can't, we're not at a stage to, hire anyone like this or anyone like you right now. And so I was like, crap, but then
oops.
And I called a couple people, one of these old guys that I just love. And I said, man, I just basically got myself out of a job unintentionally and I don't have a job to go to, but it stirred my soul. And I'm like so ready to be out of my current situation. Now, this is a lot of immaturity, a lot of shadow side stuff I didn't even know I was working with there. I don't recommend any of this. The story's going a little long, but I'm going to abbreviate for importance.
I'm here.
That said, we get this stir and Tim had said, he said, dude, but if you want to move down here and like just be a part of the church, you could do that. And I was like, that's an option. I never even thought about that. But like, what am I going to do for money?
Does it come with a paycheck?
Yeah, the answer was no. Like, and he was gracious to like, he wasn't saying no to me. He was just like, I can't give you a job. That was very honest. I appreciated the honesty. So we, at that moment, kind of were like, almost like, silly spiritual language, like let's lay out a fleece. And so I decided to take a flight down to LA and we made this decision. I was like, if I can get enough part-time jobs to live and an apartment that our family feels safe in LA, like God, if you can provide that in this mini trip that I go on, I think it's enough for us to maybe say yes to try this out, because I don't think we can stay here in good conscience. Our spirit had moved on. This is not smart. Like none of this is smart. Just wait for the end. So we decide. I go down to LA. My buddy gives me points to fly a ticket. John Neufeld, you know who you are. Thank you. He gave me some of his airline points to go do this. I go down. I get a job I interviewed at a Starbucks. I'm in ministry at these larger churches, and then I'm all of a sudden finding myself interviewing at a Starbucks in a dry cleaner. I didn't know that existed, FYI, and the smells competing were absolutely insane. I could not believe like this existed. And I'm sitting in LA and I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Right. Anyway, I get a part-time job as a busboy at this restaurant, a rad restaurant in Silver Lake, because they wouldn't give me a waiter job because I didn't have a food handler's permit. And I literally then get another job at this beer and sausage place, great food, downtown LA in like the arts district called Verskuka. And I get these two jobs and I find an apartment. I tour the apartment. It's a 1-bedroom apartment in LA that this other guy had said, I think there might be room in this space. It's hard to get apartments in LA, by the way. So the fact that I was able to see it and potentially put a deposit on it was all amazing. I go back to my wife. I'm like, we have 2 part-time jobs in a 1-bedroom apartment. I don't know. Should we do this? She's like, I think, like, we both were like, I think we're supposed to say yes.
Really? She said yes to that? How many kids did you have?
2. Only 2. But let me just tell you the end of the story. We cashed out what was it? We had like maybe $6,000, I think, in vacation that we accrued when we quit, when I left my job. And so I had like a little $6,000 is FYI nothing.
That's going to go real fast in LA.
Especially and so it was basically, so here was the deal. We decided to move down and we decided to give it 6 months. And we knew with these 2 part-time jobs and the savings that we had, we could probably go 6 months until we basically were in a like bad spot. We moved down. I started doing these 2 part-time jobs, making almost, minimum wage at the time was $8.25, bro. Nothing. Oh, and it was bad.
Gosh, dude.
And we knew that we're going to start going to this church. We're going to start building community, and we're just going to see if this is like going to happen. And we were on food stamps. We did all of it. Like all of a sudden, I'm like, fine. And then I'm living this life.
This is Lauren and I in law school.
Yeah.
It was like
we picked it later. And the long story short is that moment was so key for me, because to the day I remember praying, I was like, God, I don't know how I'm going to like do this. I don't know how this is going to go. 2 weeks before that 6-month mark, Reality LA reaches out like, hey, we don't have like a pastoral position, but we have like this need to help with like premarital counseling. Do you have history in that? Can we like pay you to do that? And then quickly they're like, can you come on and be our like community director? And it's not a full salary, but it's like a lot better than what it was. Mm-hmm. And then probably like a couple months after that, it was like full-time deal, pastor elder thing. And we were able to live and breathe finally. That was like an 8-month process.
I didn't realize that.
I'm telling
I
you all
didn't know that story.
Yeah, dude, I got stories. But that said, it was that moment for me that I realized, like, I thought I was taking a risk. God gave me a gift of being like, dude, if I never went without, did I have all my preferences? Did I have like unlimited vacation and PTO and abilities to go anywhere? No. My kids,
but you were always provided for.
My kids remember that as some of the most fond moments. We had so many friends with Disneyland passes. I mean, they went to Disneyland all the time for free.
Well, you were a busboy.
Well, I was a busboy. I mean, it was like
that's amazing.
So I know this question kind of spun to different things. I just want to say though, this might be for that guy listening, the invitation to recognize you are already provided for. It's already taken care of. Of course, there's like extreme situations. Most of us are not in extreme situations. We're just scared that we could be.
That's good. And I would have struggled with the identity in that season. Well, you said you were 30?
No, I wasn't 30 yet. I turned 30 when I was there. I was like 28.
Actually, so I mean, I won't go into it, but actually, Lauren and I moving back from China to start law school, she was pregnant. We had no money.
That was with Whit?
Yeah. Our first son was born on Medicaid in DC. Like I didn't have the self-consciousness I have now then. Then I think I had we were missionaries in China. We made nothing. We had people
you weren't necessarily expecting.
My friends were starting to talk about this, like their 401ks. And I was like, what do those numbers and letters mean? Like honestly, we started late. Like we started late because we grounded and we were poor. I loved it. We were wonderful.
Yeah.
And I say that, the nuance there is we were poor, but we had obviously an incredible safety net of family. So we didn't worry in the way that some people might worry, but it was only after I started being successful as a lawyer that I started to get a fear of losing that success, and it's like thinking back, it's very humbling because like I didn't need money to feel good about myself in my 20s. Oh, now at the age of 40, I don't think I could do that again because now I got identity issues wrapped up into like the career success and which you just exposed, and I guess we're gonna have to talk about that more. So next question.
Hey, you know what? Being able to name something and own it is beautiful. So we all have our stuff, dude. So you're welcome. Okay,
but yeah, let's talk about somebody else's stuff. What's another
question? This is I'm just gonna read it. I haven't really even fully
look. A lot of people asked about masturbation. Oh, so after the next question, we actually do need to touch on.
Maybe. Well, you can't say touch.
Don't say touch. Sorry.
Let's see.
We need to.
I mean,
look up a question quick.
I'm trying. Like in real time. I'm like, yeah. Oh wow, this is a question I didn't even see. Yeah, that's too big of a question. Actually, one of the things. Maybe I'll just take one of the ones that has been about. Oh, actually, this will lead into that. Okay, so when we confess to our wife about sexual sin, how do you decide how much to include and what do you include? It feels different than Soul Friend's radical transparency.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's an easy one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think your covenant friends, your pastor, your counselor, your therapist, probably in that order too, actually. Mm-hmm. Like, I hope your friends and your pastor maybe the closest, or a spiritual mentor are the closest on this.
Yes.
Specificity with them is really important for your confession and them calling you forward, and then honestly just to know what's going on in your life. They'll help you decide how specific you need to be with your spouse, and the answer is probably a lot less specific.
Yeah, I think it's as much as is helpful. I think the wisdom on that.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Well, because I have to say that because that's a little bit of my own story, although not extreme. But there was a season I've shared on this podcast, like, man, where running to pornography was something that I was using to cope with the very, very crazy stress of my life. I didn't realize even what I was doing, like, meaning why it was such a comfort and relief. And so often, I have to say this for any of the ladies listening, is, often pornography is not even always about sex. Now, of course, there's an element. Yes, there's nuance. There's a bunch of things I'm not even talking about here, but a lot of it has to also do with comfort and connection, watching other people connect in a way that you wish you could connect with your spouse. These are real things, right? Now, there's no permission for that. It just means that it is a part of it. And I think all that is necessary. Some spouses might need more detail. Now, that doesn't, I think you need to be fair and transparent, but I also think you need to have some discernment to know there is a level of detail that is hard to hold for another human.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of it that's not actually helpful. So her curiosity cannot be the only metric, because you'd be curious about this, this, and this. And honestly, there's a line where it's like, that's not actually helpful. It's going to be hurtful.
Yes.
And that's
I really, it's not, that answer, Brooke, is really good, even though it doesn't specifically help, because this is as in, like, it doesn't give people like the specific what to share, what not to share.
Yeah.
But I think your answer is probably as far as you can go and solid, like as much as is helpful.
Well, each relationship is different.
Yeah. You're going to have to figure out, like, it depends on like what we're talking about, and your friends and your pastor will help you decide. And also she'll give you feedback. She's like, she might say, I need more. Like, what are we talking about here? And, maybe it's helpful. I'm
just thinking of a funny story that I'm not going to share right now, but I realized in real time I can't share that story. But
I would stick though with the as much as helpful.
Yeah.
And ask your friends.
Yeah.
Really all right. So I just want to answer this question because we got it a lot.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
I was gonna. Yeah, we're gonna close, but
multiple people asked, is masturbation acceptable when you're thinking about your spouse?
Yeah, that was a very big one.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised, but also I'm not surprised. And I just want to push back on this, because the deeper that I got into theology of the body while writing The Body Teaches the Soul, the more I sort of started to realize what a problem disembodied and one-way sex is. I mean, we sort of obviously know it's a problem with pornography. We obviously know it's a problem with sort of habitual, lustful masturbation. Mm-hmm. But I think, sex is difficult in marriage, and a lot of people are struggling with their sex life. And so there's a lot of genuine questions from guys who are like, I don't want to watch porn, and, I don't want to, be habitually and lustfully masturbating, but like once in a while, some of the questions, like while I'm traveling, or like, is it okay to think of my wife? And I remember one of the most significant things a spiritual mentor said to me when I was young was, it's a sign of maturity when you stop asking what's wrong with something and you start asking what's right with something.
Yeah.
And any question that begins with, is it okay or is it wrong too, is probably one you already have the answer to.
You're looking for permission.
Yeah, because it's not the best. And so this is different than saying like, always no, absolutely a sin, feel guilty. Don't no. I'm more just want to pivot and say two things. You were made for a life of embodied sexual union with your one covenant spouse. Mm. And anything short of that is just short of that. And you don't want to be like living with permission short of that. There's a lot of grace. Like sex is difficult and it's hard and we're all going to make mistakes. But I think the way I want to answer that question is I want to say like, you need to actually work through the difficulty and the tension without like releasing it in masturbation or having sex with yourself, and take that tension into working and practicing sex with your spouse.
Yes.
Which is hard and it takes times, and there are seasons where like it's not happening right and it's not happening as much as you wish. But I also think I hope this is very helpful for women listening, if there are moms listening. One of the things that we talked a lot about with the dads was like, you must talk to your wife about what you need, and like where you're at and like how you're feeling, because the reality is
communication.
Probably moms sort of know, but maybe they don't really know. Like, a healthy sex life is one of the core needs of a man. It's like life is going to be so hard for you if sex isn't going well. And one of the great gifts of a healthy sex life is that I think both partners, but particularly the man is put in a place where he can do so much more and be so much more present and loving and work better. There's so much men need there. And so working on that, like from the male side, my answer is like, I would say bear the tension. No, instead working on practicing sex with your spouse. But from the female side, it would be like, he's struggling with a lot, and anything that you can do to like move closer and say, hey, we do need to work on this. We do need to work on, improving our sex life and more frequency and all this stuff. And, it's just so nuanced for everybody, but working on it together is what's so right.
So well said. And for the ladies listening and the men as well, I don't even know if I told you this, but Elizabeth and I just did, it will be out by the time this comes out, but just did a whole conversation basically of like following up from the Fatherhood Retreat on the topic of this, because so many questions were asked. A sex episode we did with her and I on our Intentional Parents podcast. So the link will be there.
Is it out yet?
It won't be. It will be out by the time this comes out.
I was gonna say, because I haven't heard it. It's like, okay, I want to listen to that. Yeah.
So and what we tried to do there was both talk about some of this, but also go in from both perspectives. So I mean, ladies, you're gonna hear two men talking about this, and that is one side, and we're gonna do our best always to nuance for husbands and wives. But that might just be a little bit more accessible. So men, if you're listening, if you're curious about that, go check that out. Wives, if you're listening.
And if y'all didn't listen, go back a couple episodes and listen to Lauren talk about this on our podcast.
We talked about that. Yes.
If you missed Lauren's perspective on sex, that's probably very helpful too.
Thank you for reminding me of that.
Listen to our wives on this. If you heard what I said, you're like, wait, I have questions. Go listen to what she says.
And I think that was a great conversation and wise and helpful and informative. And the one detail we don't need to answer more, but maybe just one other little angle to turn a light on this topic is, we're always, the question that you said, we're looking for permission in different ways. We want things to be black and white, and we want things to be just clear. And can I do this and can I not? And can I do it all the way or can I not do it all the way? There's things like this that hold deep wisdom and they hold deep discernment. Yeah. The story that I love, I shared at the Fatherhood Retreat, but it is a 2-second story of a professor who was basically trying to talk about this in a Christian setting, talking about his masturbation. Okay. And a kid raises his hand and says, well, do you masturbate? And he gets really mad because he's like, how could you ask me that? I'm a professor. And then realizing he's blowing up.
Such an awkward,
well, what a punk kid. I mean, are you kidding? A not developed brain. I would have done that. Like, you're trying to tell me that guy's just,
it's a good comeback to a professor who's talking abstractly. It's like, okay, great. I'm glad to hear your theory, but like, do you struggle with this?
So the guy starts shutting him down, like how inappropriate. And he stops, and the professor realizes, like, man, if I really want to help these kids, I need to answer this question. Mm-hmm. And so with, fear and trembling, he answers. I'm not the professor, by the way, in this story. I'm not making this up. This is someone else's story, but he says, sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. And I've realized that I'm not better for doing it. And I've learned that it's good to hold tension and not give myself everything that I want when I want it. And to that point, I would just say, is it evil and sinful and crazy? I mean, there's some data that shows it's not helpful. Pornography obviously is very destructive. But is it all that good? I don't think so. I think the question becomes, does it help you grow in formation to Jesus, or does it take you away? Does it help you learn that not getting your way all the time is a good thing? The answer is yes. And it's much easier to go to masturbation for relief than work on your marriage.
There's the summary of it all. It's not what's wrong with it. It's, is there anything right about it? It's so right to work, to hold the tension and work it out with your spouse. Yes. And to say our answer is here. Yes. An embodied union together.
And that's the escape. That is the detail. And is there things of travel? Sure. Can you, like, another question is like, if I have spicy pictures of my wife on my phone and she knows about it, is that okay? I was like, dude, I don't know, but I'm just telling you, like that's not my wife's jam.
We're going to dodge that question.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. And like, if you're looking for permission, like if you guys, all is safe. I mean, the marriage bed is an agreement situation. So like, you guys got to figure that out. And I'm not going to throw shade on anybody. I just know, like, that's not my dynamic, but that's also just because it's not my dynamic. It doesn't mean that can be yours. And I think at the end of the day, it is about communication. It is about being available to one another. Men, you need to Often we want physical access without emotional vulnerability.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get physical access without emotional vulnerability. You got to show up for what she needs. She's going to need you to be emotionally vulnerable in ways that you might not wish. And it's serving one another.
And it's very emotionally vulnerable to go to your wife and say, like, I'm struggling. Like, I wish we had sex more. I wish we had sex better. I wish we were working on it. It's, you know, because you're literally saying I need, but that's what's so good about it. That's what's so good. Like, and from both the wife and husband, and we actually talked a lot about this at the retreat. Like, you need to be honestly talking to your spouse often.
Yes.
About
all of
how things are going and what you need.
Yeah. Well, dude, we have more questions coming in. Stay tuned for season 3. It's coming. We're amped. So from San Diego, Justin and I, we're out.
We love you all. It's been great.
Give us all the emails. Send us, if you have a church or a place, your decision maker, let us know. We'd love to know. And thanks for listening today.
God bless y'all. See you.